Hi, I'm Christine from Valid. I want to talk about the different ways you can manage your NDIS funding, or in the jargon, it's the funding management options. There are three main ways that you can choose to manage part or all of your plan, and do remember that you can choose just one section of your funding and use one different management option for that type of funding, and then just use the agency managed for the rest of your plan. You don't have to do it for all of your package of dollars. And a lot of people get daunted thinking, oh, well, I really don't want to self-manage my whole package. Well, you don't have to self-manage your whole package or plan manage. You can just do one section. Say it might be social and community participation that you plan manage or self-manage. So I want to go through, what do those things mean? And also, what is it that is your role and what is the other people's role if you choose these. So firstly, we want to talk about leaving your funding with the NDIA. And a lot of people do that, and that's fine because, we all don't have the energy to be involved in the payments. So take your time, don't feel bad, do what's right for you. But if you do leave your money with the agency, with the NDIA, and then all of the services claim what they have provided to you directly off the NDIA. So if last week they provided you 30 hours of support, they would this week invoice the NDIA and the NDIA pays them. All the payments are after the service or the support or the equipment have been provided. There's no money in advance with the NDIS. So you can just leave all your money with the NDIA. But if you do that, you just need to be mindful that, as per this chart, you can only use services that have signed up to the NDIS and have become registered as a registered NDIA provider, which really just simply means they've met the requirements in terms of quality and accreditation to be an NDIS provider. So if you are only using registered disability service providers, then leaving your money with the agency might be a good option for you. However, some people want to be able to have a bit more flexibility than that. And so the other options of plan management and self-management give you more flexibility. So for example, I plan manage my daughter's funding, and it's an easy thing to do. It doesn't take a lot of time. And I plan manage both the registered NDIS services and also the ones that are not registered that I'm buying. So if you have used a physiotherapist down the road for 10 years and you don't want to start afresh with a new one, but they're not going to register with the NDIS, you can still buy them. But what you need to do is, ask them, are they willing to provide you a tax invoice? And then you send the tax invoice to the plan manager, and the plan manager claims the money from the NDIA and then pays the physio. That's how it works. So it's an in-between person who does the claiming. All you have to do is check that the invoice is correct and email the invoice on to the plan manager. If you're self-managing though, you can do the same. You can use individuals as long as they have an ABN. They can provide you with proof of proper insurance to cover themselves, and they've had a police check, and there's a whole range of other things, but they're the key things. Then if they can give you a tax invoice, you could buy an individual from down the road who is going to come in and do some supports for you, or maybe do household cleaning if you've got household cleaning in your NDIS package. So Plan management and self-management give you the flexibility of being able to use individuals who are set up as with an ABN and with the right insurance, etc., contractors, both registered and non-registered services. So, and the other beauty I find of plan management and self-management is, like when I needed to change services for Leah because something changed and we needed different supports for her, we just found the right one and swapped to them. And I didn't need to let the NDIA know because I'm using plan management. As long as what is coming in the invoice matches up with what's funded in my daughter's plan, then the plan manager will pay the bill. It doesn't matter what provider it's come from. Whereas if you leave your money with the NDIA, if you want to swap services, you will need to let them know usually that we've changed from service Y to service X, so that they give service X permission to access your funding on the portal, the NDIS portal. I call it the NDIS net bank, really. So it's just really your funding package online so that you can see where you stand. So just to go back over that, if you leave your money with the NDIA, then it is still your choice what services you use. It is also still important that you budget your money. Even though you're not going to handle the money, you do need to keep an eye on how much you're spending. And on the portal, you can see a pie chart that says in your social and community services budget, you might have used 60% of that, but you're only 3 months in the year. So you should have really only used around 25 to 30%. So the portal will help you manage the budget because it'll help you know where you stand. But it is important that you keep an eye on the budget so you don't run out of money. Do remember though, if you have a crisis, you can go back to the NDIS and get an early review. And that we will talk about that in our other segment about planning. Okay, so the other thing you need to remember, you're in charge of who you buy. You are the customer with the NDIS. I always say, I always tell this story. Our fridge broke down 2 days before Christmas a couple of years ago. I had 34 family members coming for lunch and no fridge. And my husband loves shopping and I hate shopping. And so, but my husband is a good customer. He wrote a list of everything he wanted out of a fridge. And he wanted this star rating, the door needed to be this side the handle because that will suit Leah because Leah only has the use of one hand. And he wrote down all the things that we needed. I got dragged along. He got exactly what he wanted. If I'd have gone, I was a bad customer. I would have got whatever the salesman had out the back he wanted to get rid of because I was not prepared, okay, to be a good customer. So getting prepared is really important so that you can be clear with both the NDIA, but then when you're starting to buy services, because you're the customer, you've got the money to purchase off them hours of support or new equipment or other supports, you get a clear list of what you want, okay? And you need to do that no matter what management of your funding you choose to do. The NDIA's role is to just make sure that the money is being updated on the portal so that you can look at that, and also to pay all the service providers. So that's basically, if you park your money with the agency, with the NDIA, then it's not a lot that you need to do. Just keep an eye on the budget. If you decide to do part of your plan or all of your plan in plan management, you need to choose a plan manager, and I would not take that lightly. Your planner, the NDIS planner who comes to do your plan, can give you a list of plan managers, or you can go to your local area coordination program, and we talk more about what they are in the planning video. And you can then get a list of plan managers in your area. You might use one that has one office for the whole of your state. That doesn't matter because it's all done electronically anyway. Or you might want to choose the a local program because you don't use the internet and you can just drop off into invoices to them easily. It is your choice what you choose, and it should be about what suits you and what you want to do with your NDIS money. Now, also, sometimes plan managers won't offer to send you statements, but can I say that you're entitled to get a monthly statement about everything that's come out of your package via the plan manager, if whatever they have paid on your behalf. And that's a good thing, because that helps you budget and you can know at all times how much you've spent out of your budgets. Some plan managers will also help you do a budget, and they'll also help you manage it. But if you're looking for that, you need to ask that of Service Z, who you've gone to say, you're a plan manager, will you help me with doing my budget? Some won't and some will. So just keep that in mind. Your role obviously is the same as with agency managed. If you leave it all with the NDIA, you still got to find the services, you've got to connect with the service and be the customer, and do the budgeting, etc. But with plan management, the other thing you do, and it's quickest and easiest via email, is you just check the invoice that they are correct, and then you approve the invoice and forward it on to the plan manager. And then everything else gets done and you don't have to do anything. Okay? We'll move on now to self-management. I call it do it yourself because basically it is do it yourself, and remembering you can self-manage one of your budgets. It may be just one category only, such as therapy or community-based activities. So you do not have to self-manage your whole of your package if you choose not to. And you can mix, you can plan manage some and you can self-manage others. At one stage, I think I had a mixture of all three. I'd left some money with the agency, so left it parked with the NDIA. I was plan managing a couple of things where I was buying non-registered services, and then self-managing another part of what Leah wanted to do because we were employing our own staff. And that is an option. You don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it is possible under the NDIS if you want to do that. If you self-manage though, you will need to set up a separate bank account in the participant's name or the nominee's name. You'll need to talk to your bank because sometimes your bank can give you a hard time about whose name's on the account. So the NDIA is usually okay if the account is in the nominee's name, but ours, for example, is in Leah's name and my name because it's for both of us. We both can manage it. Into that bank account then is where your money goes. So how does that work? So if I bought 10 hours last week of attendant care, and the agency that provided that sends me an invoice today, I would log in to the NDIS portal. There is a claim section for self-managers. You then put in a claim for the amount of the invoice to the NDIA, and then within 2 to 3 business days, they will have put the money for that invoice into your dedicated NDIS bank account. You're then able to pay the service provider. So if you do the claiming very quickly, you usually can pay people within 7 days. because the NDIS is usually very good at putting the money into that account within 2 or 3 business days. But you need to take on board in your decision, you're responsible for payment of all the invoices if you self-manage. So the invoices for the budget that you've chosen to self-manage will come to you, and it's your responsibility to claim the money and make sure it's been paid. You also are responsible to make sure that if you are buying something that's not registered, that again, the same things apply. If it's staffing, you need to ensure those staff have had police checks, there's proper insurance, and you're getting a proper tax invoice with an ABN, because the NDIS does audit people to check those things out at times. So you are responsible for making sure that all happens. I've talked about whether or not the choice around whether you want to be the employer of staff. Look, I think that's an option for a small number of people, and it's a great option if it works for you, and maybe you've done that previously under the old system, or you'd like to try it under the new system. If that's the case, Valid can put you in contact with some other people who are employing their own staff under the NDIS to help you with some tips, and they are always happy usually to share their resources and their tips on how to do that well. And similarly with self-management, if you want to get put onto another participant or another nominee family who is self-managing, we can always organise that as well. So pop us an email at Valid, and there is a request form on the Valid website that you can put your request in, but do make sure you're very specific about what you're asking for so it gets sent to the right person. Some of the information on management options, it can be found in NDIS booklets. There's a Self-Managing My Funding booklet that is quite long, but it's very good and it outlines lots of things. There is also a guide to how to use the NDIS portal. So if you want to read up more about using this portal thing, then there is a portal guide on the NDIS website. But do remember, before you start your planning conversation, and this little document from the NDIS reminds you to think about, do I want to choose plan management or self-management, or leave the funding with the NDIA parked? So make your mind up before your plan meeting. Thanks for listening.